What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillispie here with you on Bama Insider and the Bama Insider postgame show. We are at Westgate Luxury Condominiums right next to Bryant-Denny Stadium, where Alabama leads 42-35 over Arkansas. The final seconds of the game about to tick away after Arkansas scored a touchdown and then kicked the onside kick attempt out of bounds. So Alabama will have the ball. Arkansas doesn't have timeouts to stop the game. And Alabama, unless something crazy happens, will hold on for a victory that sets up this showdown in Atlanta. Alabama back to the SEC championship game, and they'll play the Georgia Bulldogs. But the Iron Bowl is coming up. So as we watch this final minute and 2 seconds together, we'll kind of count it down and start talking about this football game. Chris Daltrey and Trey Yanity are here with me, and basically we'll try to figure this Alabama team out. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, and look, there's some ugly in this as well. But at the end of the day, you can't take it away from this team. They just improved to 10-1, or when they win this football game, which is not final yet, they will improve to 10-1, which is a big accomplishment, and they win the SEC West, a much tougher division than what we're seeing over in the East, where Georgia ran away with it. So Bryce Young with another big game, and the phone lines are open, and Alabama wins the SEC West. It's official as Nick Saban heads to midfield. Another huge game for Bryce Young. Hey, guys, let me tell you this. As I throw that on the screen, we are 200 feet away from Bryant-Denny Stadium, as you see behind me. We're at the Westgate Luxury Condominiums here in the Skygate Club, and we are enjoying it. Jillian and the crew always treat us so well up here. Chris Daltrey, a hungry college student, has been fed with amazing food. And so all are the guests as well. We got all the TVs here as people tailgate and watch the game, and then they'll be heading over from Bryant-Denny. But this place is awesome. There are condominiums that are available, and I'm talking about luxurious. The big balconies, the convenience can't be matched. I mean, you're right next to the stadium. You're right next to the quad and the strip and all your favorite bars and restaurants. You're close to campus. If you're coming into town, you need to think about swinging over here and renting one of these. And if you're in the market to buy, there's still some units available. They've got 900 to 3,000 square feet condominiums, 1 to 5 bedrooms. You got the amazing kitchens with the Sub-Zero kitchen designs, and I mean, just everything that you can think of, they've thought about it. And then you put that great service and convenience on top of it, and it really is an awesome place. So we appreciate them. And unbelievably, this is our last game here because the home slate is over. And, Alabama with a win today, they go perfect through the home schedule this year. Guys, would love to hear from you at 205-850-0883. I want to hear from you. What did you think about today's game? How did you feel Alabama played? Any comments or remarks that you have maybe leading into the Auburn game? We can talk Auburn, Alabama. We can talk the Iron Bowl. We can talk SEC championship game because it is actually happening now, Alabama and Georgia. This is the game that Georgia wanted. They wanted to play Alabama. At least they said so. And for college football fans, this is definitely a matchup that will grab the attention of everyone, right? I mean, right now it's Alabama number 1 and Arkansas number 2 in the country. So 42-35 win for Alabama. They had a lot of issues on defense. We talked about that before. And they're going to have to get better. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. They're going to have to get better or they're not going to win, right? I mean, and that's I think that's easy to say at this point. And so I don't know. I mean, like I sit here and I look at this team, and they're really hard to handicap because they do a lot of things well, but yet, there's some issues as far as the defense. When the defense plays well, like they did a couple of weeks ago against LSU, the offense doesn't look good. They look terrible against LSU. This week, the offense was good and the defense was bad. So, there's just so many different things here that Alabama's going to have to improve on for them to win the national championship again. And to win championships is the goal of Alabama football. I mean, that's how they measure success. And I was in the soup store, got my Starbucks coffee there, cheap plug to Starbucks, and I walked over and I saw all of the 18 gear. It's the first time I've been in there since they won 18, the helmet stickers and all that. I still have the 17, right? And, and that's how a successful season is measured, is championships, whether it's an SEC championship, a national championship, or both. So let's talk about it, guys. I would love to hear from you. Again, the phone line's open at 205-850-0883. And I'm just curious to know what you guys kind of think about how everything happened for Alabama and, and kind of the process that is taking place right now with this team. They're 10-1. That's great. But at the same time, obviously struggling a little bit, as far as putting teams away. All these wins seem really tough. And I got to give Arkansas a lot of credit. I mean, this was a team that didn't win any conference games a couple of years ago. And now all of a sudden, they're a really, really good opponent. Which is, this was a great game today. I mean, forget about just the Alabama part of it, but this was a great game to watch. I mean, it's back and forth. There was a lot of action. A lot of really big plays were made. And, Chris, throw the stats up from today's game. And let's just kind of dig into these a little bit and throw the phone number up there, too, for me so that people can get it and call in. Oh, I got it. So I for some reason, haven't gotten any calls yet. So normally by now, everybody'd be lined up. All right, Bryce Young, look at this day. And I thought after watching Ohio State, I thought this was going to be the day that we were going to look at C.J. Stroud and say, okay, yeah, he's taken over as the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman, right? Surpassing Bryce Young. But when you look at these numbers by Bryce Young, I don't know that a lot's going to change between these two. I think it's becoming a two-horse race now, especially the way that things went for Walker, the running back for Michigan State in their game. He didn't look too good at times. And Bryce Young, 31 of 40, 559 yards with 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I mean, think about that. 0 interceptions today for Bryce Young. I mean, that to me just shows you how accurate he is with the football, his ability to throw the ball downfield when he has to. He doesn't press. And how many of those are drops? Not a lot of bad passes from Bryce Young. So Brian Robinson today, what a bounce-back game for Alabama, the offensive line, and the run game. Brian Robinson today, 27 totes, 122 yards, and he was averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Alabama won this football game by limiting Arkansas's run game. They lost out in the pass game, and we'll look at that here in a second, but they limited the run game enough and ran the football themselves. And I really felt like going into this game, that was where Alabama was really going to have to be productive to win this football game. And they certainly were. So I'm going to have to call back in and get our call call thing going back in. Trey, jump in real quick here, and kind of give me your take on things as I try to get the get the phone line going back again, because I think there was an issue with the phone line. That's why we weren't hearing from anybody.
I was going to say, surprisingly, we don't have any callers.
We
at this
do.
point
I just got to get them up. So,
well, I'm excited to get to those calls as well. But yeah, and sorry guys if you don't see me right now. I don't want to be the omniscient voice in the background here, but we are taking care of the press conference for Nick Saban right now as well. So I will be on camera in a little bit, but for now I can share my thoughts.
Thank you for calling
and,
Call-In Studios host and call screener line. Please enter your show or meeting number and press pound.
Some behind-the-scenes Bama Insider action there. But, this game was another really interesting game because you saw the highs, you saw the lows, you saw
enter
some
your
adjustments.
6-digit PIN number.
And, we won't be giving that number away to anybody. I know you're just wondering what it is
Welcome,
out there.
host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-In Studio web interface.
Got a whole line of calls here. Everybody was waiting. All right, Trey. Well, Trey, let me get to these calls.
Please do.
And I'm going straight to the calls, guys. I'm not only am I the talent, but I'm also this call screener. So. All right, look, let's go right at it. Thanks, guys, for holding on. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, man? This is Brandon Clear calling from Washington, D.C.
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going tonight?
Hey, doing pretty good. First off, Roll Tide. Great win for the team. One of the things, a lot of people just have to have patience, right? We have a young team. We lost a lot of seniors, a lot of leadership off last year's team. I know our defense was struggling. I know Josh Jobe was getting, burnt most of the game, right? But I will tell everyone to just have patience. Dallas Turner had a great game. Will Anderson, what can you say about him? The Terminator, always stepping up and in, making the big plays. I think he's a top 2 Heisman finalist in my opinion. I know a lot of people put Stroud in there, and obviously Bryce Young is doing his thing. But again, I think it was a great team win. I think the defense will get better collectively, but we have to make adjustments. The biggest thing that I'm seeing with our teams, we just don't make adjustments. You saw Arkansas was exposing our team when we're leaving the corner one-on-one, and Josh Jobe is getting over-aggressive and stepping up and just getting blown by. And then we just made Burks look like he's an all-star, right? So, he's a great receiver, but there's no reason why he should be one-on-one on an island with any of our corners at this point. So I'm hoping we see a little bit more of Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think that we're going to probably get more and more one-on-one looks to the boundary. So I think that our safeties are going to probably have to play back quite a bit. But if we keep playing like this, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm worried about Georgia. I think Georgia might steamroll us, but I'm enthused by our offense and how we were able to collectively put drives together. Just got to cut down on the turnovers and continue to press. Go ahead and continue to protect Bryce. Hey,
you make a lot of good points, Brandon. I'm with you on all of them, too. It's a good win. Anytime you improve to 10-1, you've had a great season. I just don't think this is a really great team. I think that it's a pretty good team, right? But they know how to win.
I agree.
And some of that. Look, watching Burks, and they're telling us all day that he's got a shoulder problem and all that stuff. And he's just. I felt like I was watching Randy Moss. Like, like back in the day.
That's a good one.
Like, okay.
I'm kind of questioning, was he really injured or was he really selling it? But after Mr. Anderson on that onside kick, he's really hurt.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be carried off to the hospital after that hit by Anderson, man. That was insane. But I agree, Burks is a hell of a player. But you cannot, if your corner's getting burnt, you cannot have the safety roll up and leave him one-on-one, right? So At one point it was Malachi Moore that came up and they both ran into each other. So on that one, I was going to say it was all on Josh Jobe. But, again, it's just the inconsistency on defense of making adjustments, our guys not being in the right place. That's the most frustrating thing. If they're beating us and we're in the right place, I have no problems. But we're getting beat just by mental errors, big, huge mistakes, or we're not making adjustments on the defensive side, man. And I don't know where in America we're looking for a new defensive coordinator. Someone told me that the former Tennessee coach is available possibly next year. I think we need to go ahead and make some adjustments, man. Look, Pete Golden's a great guy, great recruiter. He's had enough time. We had this problem last year, but we had such a great offense. It didn't make a difference, right? But everybody forgets Florida Florida steamrolled us, right? And we had some great talent on that defense, and we had Pat Surtain, and they were still putting in the work. So, this is a consistent problem, man. So I'm hoping that we get some new breed in there on the coordinator side, or some old heads to come in that we're familiar with that have been proven. But, I don't want to take up too much of the time there. I can go on and on, but I'm right there with you. I think this is a good team, not a great team. And I think if you ask Saban, you put a lie detector test to him, he would say this team is probably doing better than what he expected.
Yeah.
Because again, they're talented but young. So he would tell you we should probably have like 2 or 3 losses, right? But we skated out LSU somehow. And I think that this team is, again, I don't know if Auburn, I think we're going to get them, but Georgia, man, I think it's going to be a bloodbath. So hopefully we show up and show out, and that's our best game of the season, man. But roll Tide.
Hey, roll Tide. Thanks for calling Brandon up in D.C. And make sure that you hit us up next week after the Iron Bowl, all right?
Of course, man. Have a good one.
You too. Great call. Great call. That's a good way to get this thing going, guys. And we appreciate you being here. And the phone lines are open. We're going to put the Nick Saban press conference on when he pops up. But want to hear from you. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Demetrius from North Carolina.
What's up, Demetrius?
Hey, roll Tide, roll Tide. Yeah, I believe in everybody. Another one of them games. I mean, it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or either just flip a coin. Which one gonna show up? The defense gonna show up this week, and then the offense don't, or the offense show up, or the defense don't show up. I mean, I mean, you got juniors, you got some upperclassmen back there in the defensive backfield. I mean, and we into next to the last game of the year, you still having these mistakes? Come on, man. I don't. I mean, I love them young men, but I'm not gonna put it on. I'm not gonna put it on them. To me, it all go back to coaching. What our Achilles heels have been the years that we have. I mean, we always had the talent, but the coaching just remind me of the 2019 season when we went undefeated and Clemson handed it to us out there in California. I mean, we had the talent, but the coaching just wasn't there. And I mean, we're winning these games off of pure talent. It's not because of what coaching decisions that's being made. And I mean, either the coaches got to come around, or it's not. To me, it's not the players. It's strictly the coaches. Now, maybe a little critical of Josh Jobe, but it's not the players. It's the coaches. Can we still? If I still got hope and trust in Nick Saban, I don't care how bad we look. As long as we got him on the coach of the sideline, we got this talent. Yes, we can win a national championship. But if we do, it's going to be about a hair of our chinny chin chin.
Yeah. Yep. Look, I mean, I look at that Georgia game, and I'm thinking that it could be this team. I don't know. I mean, like, I could see them getting rolled up pretty good, but then at the same time, like, I just got this feeling that they're going to show up in that game. But these teams that spread you out, go fast, that have a quarterback that can run, give Alabama trouble. They just always have. And I got to give Jefferson a lot of credit, too. I mean, look, Demetrius, he had a great game, man. I mean, like, some of those passes were just as good as he's going to get. Like Calzada with Texas A&M had his career game against Alabama. And you wonder, like,
correct.
Yeah, right. Like I mean, they lost last week at Ole Miss, and he looked terrible.
Yeah,
he couldn't throw the ball anywhere.
I mean, Bryce Young passed for 500 yards, running the ball over 100 yards with B. Robinson. I mean, who would have thought this game being that close? If you told me Alabama quarterback passed for 500 yards and over 100 yards of rushing, come on, man. These coaches, these coaches on payroll getting paid big time money. This ain't no cupcake. Wherever you come from, this ain't no cup. This the real deal, Holyfield. Like I say, this is kind of remind me of the coaching that we had in 2019 You know, 18, 19, you know, they wasn't. I don't believe their heads is in it. I don't. I believe it's a crop of coaches that, once again, that hey, they just using Alabama as a stepping stone for their next job.
Well, I mean,
that's my humble opinion.
And I think you wouldn't mind seeing some of these guys go, right? I mean, do you want to see Bill O'Brien go to LSU? Did you see that? Was it Reese Davis that said that? Was it Reese Davis? It was, yeah. So Reese Davis is the one that said he thinks that Bill O'Brien's going to LSU.
Hey, I'm pretty sure I chip in with everybody else that helping pack and buy first. I mean, he's an excellent. He's an excellent man. You know,
great guy.
But hey, this is I don't believe what we have grown accustomed to is he cannot. I don't believe he can provide it. I mean, I'm not gonna knock his character as a man, but what he provides as a coach is not what we're accustomed to and what we need to win. I mean, he could pull a rabbit out the hat. Who knows? I mean,
right.
But you know, I ain't gonna hold you up for roll time. But yeah, these young men, I look at the coaching, and this is another 2018-19 season where the coaches just, I don't believe they head in the right spots. I believe they drifting off for it. This just a stepping. These crop of coaches is just a stepping stone for their next job.
Well, thanks for calling in, and Roll Tide, Demetrius. Always good to hear from you in North Carolina. Roll Tide. All right, let's go right back to the phone lines again, guys, as we talk to you after the Alabama game, sitting on the Skygate Club deck after Alabama's 42-35 win over Arkansas. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Robert from Mobile.
Robert, what's up, man?
Well, like all the callers said, this team is just which side of the ball is going to show up to this weekend. Will it be the offense that shows up and the defense doesn't, or the defense shows up and the offense doesn't? It's not. We just have a hard time getting both sides of the ball showing up at the same time in the game. And we might as well start to face the fact about there's a reason why Nick Saban hasn't. I mean, only one team in the recent college football era has repeated, because it's hard to repeat. And I mean, even Nick Saban, as great as he has been there with Alabama, and as good as some of his teams have been, only one is repeated. Because repeating is a hard thing to do. And we might as well start to look at, I mean, our expectation this season should not be to win the national championship. Our expectation should be, hey, we'll enjoy the games when we win, and just enjoy football and enjoy watching the plays, good plays when we see them. Because this does not look like a championship team. Georgia shut this team out, shut Arkansas out. Every team that Alabama and Georgia has both played at one point in this season, Georgia has utterly dominated, and we've managed to struggle against. And it's a trend. It's not just a coincidence. It is a trend. It's a trend that tells you something. It tells you that, okay, the odds of us winning a championship, because we say, can we win a championship? Yeah, we can win. We can. It's a possibility. But is it likely? I don't know. I don't think it's likely. I don't really think – I'm not confident we can beat Ohio State right now. Watching Ohio State play this weekend and watching us and those last several games, I'm not confident in us beating even Ohio State. So now there are two teams out there that I'm not confident we can beat. And both of those are going to be playoff teams. And so, it's like that. We had a great season last year. This year, Alabama fans, we just need to be able to just relax and say, okay, this doesn't look like it's going to be our year. I mean, it happens. But with the way this team is playing right now, the defensive performance was terrible. It would not beat Ohio State or Georgia. And those are the teams we have to beat in order to win a national championship. That defense would not have beat either one of those teams today. In fact, if Arkansas gets 35, Ohio State gets 45, Georgia gets maybe 38, but we don't get 40, but we don't get over 30 against Georgia. And it's just, I don't know. It's just not there. We've seen it all season. We complain about it all season. Oh, you just got to face it. It's not there, and it doesn't look like it's going to get there, like your previous caller said. It's been all season long that we've been watching these things. It's the last game of the year, and it hasn't gotten better. And once again, it rears its ugly head on the defense having letdowns like this.
Right.
We're hoping we might be over it, but once again, it's back again at the wrong time. Now you're going to be playing the elites of the elite teams this year. And there are only two teams that I think the Alabama can't beat, Ohio State and Georgia. And unfortunately, both of those are in our path for a national championship. And I don't see us with a team that can beat them.
Yeah. And maybe Alabama's coaching is doing a good job with the talent that they have this year. I mean, when you look at all the guys that went to the NFL, I mean, they had, an arsenal of players that went to the NFL in the first round alone last year. Georgia did. Yeah. Georgia had a lot of these guys come back. And, they have a lot more talent with experience. We have a lot of talent. We just, and we have experience, but sometimes we have, talent without experience. And this is the year. And for this team to be 10-1 and going back to Atlanta again, I mean, there's, 12 other schools that would like to be in that spot. And it could be an off year for Alabama, and they're still 10-1.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's another bad thing about this game. Like your previous caller said, Bryce Young's game was outstanding. But we're so distraught over the poor defensive performance, we're not celebrating Bryce Young's outstanding performance as it should be celebrated. Now, he had one play where, Bryce, you got to run there and give me as much yards that you can get, and not force Will Riker to kick a super long field goal because he took a sack. But that's nitpicking. That's the only play that he didn't do well on. But all the rest of them, like I said, 560 yards passing, over 600 yards total offense, almost 700 yards total offense, and we still only win the game by one score. That's what's it's hard, it's terrible that we can't celebrate that because the defense gave us such a letdown that we got because we know, hey, if we didn't even play like this, we can't win at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alabama's going to be a big underdog. I think that week of spread's going to end up being somewhere around 10. I mean, maybe Alabama's brand can save them that, but I just assume that that Alabama's going to be a big underdog to Georgia. But you know what? There's still the Iron Bowl. I mean, this can be a good season. You beat Auburn, you lose to Auburn, and you know what? And all of a sudden, 10-2 with a loss in the Iron Bowl feels a lot worse than 10-2 with a win in the Iron Bowl.
Right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, you're down in Mobile. I mean, you want to go to work with all those Auburn fans? You want to go to church? You want to go to the supermarket? Like the thing I love about the Auburn fans is that you don't see them wearing their gear right now because they lost a couple games now. You won't see them wearing all their orange and purple, and all that. They beat Alabama, and that gear is coming out.
Absolutely, you're right. 10 wins, and they win the Iron Bowl and a bowl victory, and the bowl victory in the whatever bowl game we go to. That's a good season. That's still a good season, and I'll celebrate that.
Right.
So it isn't how the always had to be a championship. Yeah, that's why it normally isn't.
Yeah. Well, look, the other thing too is that you win the Iron Bowl, and you got a chance. You still got a chance. And if they don't beat Georgia and it turns out like every other team that Georgia's played this year and they kill Alabama, so what? You still played in that game. And then you said it. You go to the bowl game, and guess what? Everybody's coming back next year. There's Brian Robinson might leave. I guess he's got to go. But I mean, like you've got another year developing all those 5-star and 4-star offensive linemen, right? You create the experience and also the competition and practice. You get all those guys get another year under their belt. And I feel like Alabama, but plus who knows who comes over in the transfer portal? this team's really good if you add 2 or 3 players. You know, if you had 2 more offensive linemen that could, go in there and dominate like Neal, then this team would be able to compete with Georgia. Where Alabama's going to lose the game is on the offensive line, even though their defense was pretty bad tonight. I just feel like Georgia's defensive line is going to be so tough for Alabama, but we'll find out. Who knows? I mean, maybe they go in there and they attack Stetson Bennett like they did last year, and Alabama surprises Georgia. But the best part about it is they have a chance to do that. Even though they've kind of skated through the schedule, they still have a chance to do it.
Well, and then that's the problem. That's a tough thing too. Is we have to do it twice. So, and then this team has to beat Georgia twice and Ohio State once to win a national championship. And the way they're playing, it's like that'll be a tall order for last year's team to do against this Georgia team and this Ohio State team. I believe last year's team could do it, but that'll be a challenge for them. But this team is almost, the realistic expectation should be, let's just celebrate, be happy that we got as many wins as we did.
Yeah.
I'll let you go, man. Robert. Let somebody else call you.
Hey, always great to hear from you down in Mobile. See ya. Roll Tide.
All right, man.
Let's go right back to the phone lines again and talk more Alabama as they win today. Not a convincing win, but a 10th win. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick, it's Quan from New Orleans.
Hey, what's up, Quan?
Ain't nothing, man. Just wanted to say Roll Tide. Just was a little frustrated today with the defense, but glad we came through with the win. Just wanted to hit on a few quick pointers. I agree with a lot of the callers that called tonight. But the one thing I did see that was a bright spot, which took extremely too long, was inserting Damian George in over Chris Owens and then taking Josh Jobe out and putting Kool-Aid in. I think both of those moves, Mick, it's been long in the waiting. I think they should have been done maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I was just happy with that fact that, the offensive line did play a lot better. Damian George looked like he's making a difference.
Yeah, he does.
And it's something that, in my opinion, no disrespect to Chris Owens, we know he's been there since 2016, but it's kind of like one of your callers said a few weeks ago. I think his name was Kevin from Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Saban should have been gave Chris Owens a nail, man, and told him to go hang it up on the bench, man. We appreciate everything you've done. So that was a bright spot to me from the game, is that we finally seen some turnover with these positions. I mean, because I agree with your callers, but in a sense I don't agree with it is, yeah, we lost a lot of first-rounders last year, but we only lost 2 players on defense last year. 2. So we brought back majority of our defense, and we see the same thing, and this is the whole Pete Golden argument. We never know what we're going to get. And it's the same mistakes. The secondary guys out there running into each other. Christian Harris, we know for a fact, cannot cover running backs off the backfield. We seen what the Cook, the running back from Georgia, did to him last year on the long pop touchdown. I don't know if you remember that in the Georgia game.
Right.
Christian Harris covering the running back. So we know he can't cover running back. So now my question is this: when is Coach going to start doing some competition battles in the secondary with these linebackers in secondary? I mean, you said Josh Jobe today. To me, that's something that should have been done 3-4 weeks ago. Josh Jobe been getting penalties and burnt all season. And you don't want to beat up on these kids, Nick. I mean, but we got to call it like it is. I mean, something went wrong tonight. Something clicked in Coach's head to finally make him sit him down and put Kool-Aid in the game. I think, Mick, our biggest problem is we're going to have an upperclassman problem when the season is all said and done. We're going to have a lot of these juniors and seniors who's going to go get these draft grades, Mick, and it's not going to be what they want to be.
Right.
And then you're gonna have a problem with guys wanting to come back. And I'm gonna use a few examples before I go.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if Slade Bolden go get his draft grade and he come back. He's a day 3 guy, and he wants to come back. Well, do you think JoJo Earl gonna want to sit down on the bench again and play behind Slade Bolden? And I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
so we're gonna have an upperclassmen problem and a transfer portal problem. Is what I see. I agree with Robert. We're not going to beat Georgia. I don't know if we're going to beat Auburn. I think we just got to be realistic and just say, like the young Trey Yanity says, this team is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to get no better. I don't think we're going to beat Georgia because I don't know what team going to show up. And I think that's the frustration part as far as with Pete Golden. We don't know what defense is going to show up. And I'm not going to have on Pete Golden, but I'm just making a point to where this defense, I don't buy into that, these young guys. We only lost 2 guys. We got 9 guys back on defense. Outside of Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, everybody else on that defense is 3- and 4-year guys.
Yeah. You make a good point. I mean, Quan, just talking about some of the guys that aren't going to get drafted and they're going to have to come back. And who knows? Maybe some of those guys transfer. I'm definitely curious. This is going to be interesting to see what happens in the offseason. We already had 2 guys transfer.
Nick.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be interesting because you got guys that's sitting there that's waiting their chance. Like Damian George. Theoretically, Mick. Theoretically, Chris Owens can come back. He have a COVID waiver year if he wants to.
Right.
I don't see that happening, but he can come back. You got all these guys that got COVID years, that COVID waiver where they can come back, and we're going to have a problem with it. And it's not getting better. And now is the time, which we feel like it should have happened 3 or 4 weeks ago. We should have been inserted some of these young guys. We should have been out there giving them an experience.
I've said
What's
that.
the worst that happened?
I know. I've said that. I agree with you. Look, talent to me is more. You win. You can win with talent more than you can win with experience. You love to have the combo, but just because somebody played doesn't mean they're good. And it's kind of been you're trying to get these young guys caught up where they're in position to get in these games, like Kool-Aid. I've been waiting on Kool-Aid because I think he could have played from day one. Honestly,
Played from day one.
Yep.
I haven't seen nothing from Jalen Armour-Davis and Josh Joby all season to keep Kool-Aid on the sideline.
That's right.
I just haven't seen nothing. So my thing is, I just hope this next game we get better. Hopefully, I agree with you, Mick. I don't think we're going to go to Atlanta and just lay a complete egg. But it's hard for me to imagine. It's hard for me to imagine we beating Georgia. It's just hard for me to imagine that, Mick.
Yeah. I think it could happen. If there's a team that Georgia needs to worry about, it's Alabama, because Alabama isn't going to care. Right. If that offensive line blocks and gives Bryce Young some time, Georgia might have some trouble with Alabama. And their running style, Alabama might be able to stop them. I think they can. They can stop the run. It's the pass that kills them. But we'll find out. You know what, though? I'll tell you this right now. I don't want to see Alabama lose to Auburn. And I don't want them to be looking ahead to Georgia and forget about that Iron Bowl and lose both games. I think you really got to be focused on Auburn, because if we
gonna get Auburn best game.
Oh, you know it. You know it. And losing to them is the worst thing that happens in life as far as sports go for me. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Yep.
And we know strange things happen down there.
Oh, man, I know. We get a whole week to start thinking about Auburn Jesus again. So, well, Quan, they're telling me that Nick Saban's press conference is ready, so I got to switch over and
Mick,
play that.
Thank you for taking my call and Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide, man. Always great to hear from you, Quan, down in New Orleans. And I bet you LSU wouldn't mind having that 10-1 season where maybe they've skated through on a couple games. Guys, here's Coach Nick Saban right after the game. This is his press conference, and then we'll chew on that when we come back. You got it? Yeah. Okay. What's coming up? Do that tease again. Hey, guys, it was great to talk to you. And now we'll hear from Coach Nick Saban after Alabama's 42-35 victory over Arkansas at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll play it, and then we'll chew on it.
Proud of the way our players battled in this game. We certainly did a lot of things that, continue to give them opportunities in the game. But, I think we played great offensively. Bryce played really well in the game. We stopped ourselves in the red zone, fumbled the ball on the 2-yard line, get a penalty when we're down deep in the red zone, then take a sack, then miss a field goal. So, we left a lot of points, on the board, or we could have put the game away. And defensively, we gave up a couple big plays, but the big thing was they're like 10 of 19 on 3rd and 4th down. So when we had opportunities to get off the field, we didn't get off the field. They extended drives, and in some cases that they led to touchdowns. So, but fake field goal on 4th down. I mean, just a lot of things that, we were trying to cover the guy, and we ran into the official, and they had run a fake field goal against LSU last week. So we actually worked on it and called the defense that we wanted to play against it, and still, got rubbed off and didn't make the play. So there's a lot of good things, and then there's a lot of things that we obviously need to fix, most of which we can fix. But I think the players have to be dedicated and determined to try to get it right so we can play better in the future. So, I was, we won the West today, so we have an opportunity now to play in the SEC championship game. And it was a difficult, playing in the West this year was very difficult. We won some close games. We won a close game today, which resiliency of the players contribute to that. Their competitive spirit and how much it means to them contributes to that. But we do need to fix some of the things that we're not getting correct on the field.
Start over here with Mike Rodak.
What did you see out of Kool-Aid after he came into the game, and just what was the situation there at corner with Josh?
I think that Kool-Aid did okay. A lot of times when on the other side, it's hard for me to see exactly, how they're doing. But I thought he did a pretty good job. He's gotten better all season. He's more confident. He knows what to do. He's a bright guy. He prepares well, and we have a lot of confidence in him playing. And I thought he did a pretty good job.
On the other side with Aaron. Bryce had a historic night throwing. Can you put in perspective how difficult it is, given the kind of defense Arkansas runs from an X's and O's perspective?
Well, I think we had a really good plan on offense. We had a lot of solid runs, even though, you might say we only had whatever we had 100 and some yards rushing, but we had a lot of situations where we put ourselves in, positive down a distance situation. When you get behind the sticks on them and they drop 8 guys, it really gets tough. But we had a good plan to attack the 8 drop. We didn't do a very good job of it in the red zone. And he made really good decisions about who to throw the ball to. And I mean, he had several, at least 4 drops to go with. And he had a couple overthrows, but the guy had a fantastic game, I think, and really did a good job sort of taking what they give. He's accurate with the ball, and other than a couple drops, the receivers did a really good job in the game as well.
The way that Bryce can extend plays, I mean, how do you guys coach him just from the sense of him being able to extend plays like 8-9 seconds at times?
Well, they were rushing 3 guys, which, sometimes that makes it a little easier for him to do. But he has a great knack in the pocket for where to slide, and he keeps his eyes downfield. So it's not like he's scrambling to run and looking at the rush, which I think is a real key to the drill if you're going to be a guy that's going to be a successful passer. And then he kind of knows when to tuck it to go. He's deceptively quick and has better speed than most people think.
This is what happened.
He makes a lot of really, really good plays. and he's pretty smart about getting down. So we don't want him to take, unnecessary hits. But, we scored a touchdown and got the holding penalty, which was, like 30 yards from the play. So it'd be interesting to look at that.
We've got pictures right with Charlie.
It looked like DJ Dale tweaked something in warm-ups. Just do you have an update on him?
He did something to his knee. The MRI is fine. He's had 2 surgeries on his patella tendons, and I think he scared more than anything that something happened. But it's probably too early to tell, but, hopefully he'll be okay.
We'll stay on this side of the microphone.
You won several of these games, these close games where you haven't been able to put teams away. How do you view that dynamic between winning the games but not fully, putting the other team away?
Well, what I look at is how did we execute in the game? What did we do in a game that kept us from putting the game away? All right. So that's the perspective that I look at it. And a lot of the things that I just talked about is why we didn't put the game away. The last touchdown, 8's not supposed to be on the running back. All right. So we don't play the coverage the way it's supposed to be played. They might have scored anyway. I don't know, but at least like to think that you're out there executing and doing what you're supposed to do. Guys don't take the right guys on slider boots. We turn people loose in man-to-man. We get a penalty when we score a touchdown that would put the game away. Then we take a sack and miss the field goal. So all these things contribute to not putting the game away. So that's the kind of stuff that we need to fix, but it's also stuff that can be fixed. So we just got to keep working on it, and we got to have the players buy into what they need to do to get it fixed.
And you just heard from Coach Nick Saban as we hang out with you here at Westgate Luxury Condominiums right across from Bryant-Denny Stadium, and take your calls on the Bama Insider postgame show. And look, you heard Coach, there's some positives here, a lot of positives. Alabama's 10-1, and they're going back to Atlanta to play Georgia. He talked about some of the missed assignments, but also how good the offense was, and Bryce Young and what he did today. And Bryce Young is just really keeping Alabama in the national championship picture with his ability to throw the football and make plays. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. I know you guys have been holding on for a while, and we'll keep rolling. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Mick, this is Jay from Atlanta. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Jay?
Good, sir. I actually moved down to Tampa recently, so now I'm in Gator country. I don't know what's worse. I want to touch on a few things that Saban brought up, Coach brought up, and I'm glad to hear that DJ Dale might just have a minor knee injury. I'm starting to worry that he's a complete bust. But it's been this season's so odd in that how many games have we had that we win, but it feels like a loss? It just seems to be the theme of this season, whether it's UF, LSU, Arkansas. We win these games, but just barely, and everyone's miserable afterwards. Just the theme of this season, getting old. But I want to remind everybody, 2018, when Bama was just storming through the season and we were going up against Georgia in the SEC championship, I can't remember how many Georgia fans were telling me, oh, y'all are just going to steamroll us. No one can stop Tua and his receivers. Like, Bama was just blasting through everybody. And Georgia gave Bama all they could handle in that SEC championship game.
Right.
So I don't want to sit here and say that, like, the writing's on the wall. You just never know on that Saturday what this Bama team could be capable of doing. I think we all need to remain optimistic. And Bama's going to play the best game they're going to play all year on that Saturday.
I agree, man. Look, I've said that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And they've always been like that. I mean, even when they didn't have, they weren't in a run like this. They play up to the opponent.
Yeah, and my dad has been a Bama fan since the 50s, and he and I were chatting at halftime, and he's like, Jay, this Bama team just sucks. They don't have the magic. This ain't championship caliber. He's pretty pessimistic. But I said, Dad, this Bama team, what might be the blessing in disguise about that theme I was discussing, Bama's had to scrap by these UF games, these LSU games, these Arkansas games. Georgia has just steamrolled everyone. No one's had Georgia on the ropes at any point this season. So if Bama comes out and punches them in the nose for a few quarters, Georgia might be in shock, you know, and the mentality of that Georgia team. Huh?
No, I'm just listening.
Did
Go
I
ahead.
lose
Yeah.
you?
No, I'm here. Keep going. I'm in.
No, so I was saying that like, Georgia might not know how to respond to having their back against the ropes. It's kind of like, this is the analogy I come up with. Everyone has this Georgia team spelled out like they're the '85 Bears or something. But you know, like I was watching the Rocky IV scene the other day on YouTube and watching Drago get his butt kicked by Rocky.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This would be what this SEC championship game is. Like, Bama comes in there and just makes Drago bleed. And then all of a sudden, Georgia's stunned and not knowing quite how to find their identity. An identity they haven't had to establish this season. What do they do when their back's against the wall? We don't know.
Right.
And then on a few other notes, I'd like to mention, like, Ja'Cory Brooks had some moments tonight. He looks promising. Turner has been awesome. That kid is a stud.
Yes.
Like he is. I can't tell you how excited I am that finally we got someone to compliment Will Anderson.
Oh yeah.
And then the other thing is, why this is the most frustrating thing about this. All week we hear about the beat up running backs room. Why did Trey Sanders only come in 2 plays? Like it's like if we're one twisted ankle on B-Rob away from being just Trey Sanders. Like, we're dead in the water at that point. Like, there's no reason why Trey shouldn't have come in for at least 2 full possessions. Like, he should have been handed the ball at least 8 times in this game. That kid needs his confidence back, and that offensive line needs to be confident when he does carry the rock. So I don't know what we're waiting on. Riding B-Rob to the end of the, it's such a gamble. So anyway, yeah, man, I have hope. That's what I'm going to end on. I have hope. I want to believe that the best Bama team, despite these terrible performances, is yet to be revealed, and they will show up at that SEC championship game. There is magic at Mercedes-Benz. I've been to 2 games when they beat Georgia. I was at the national title game, and I was at the following year at the SEC championship game. That the Bama team that shows up in that Mercedes-Benz comes to play, and they will not disappoint this year.
I hope you're right. Look, and if we learned anything from Rocky and Drago, is that if you get knocked down, you got to get back up, even when your opponent is on steroids. Hey, I love those movies.
It's kind of the perfect analogy when you think of like when you watch that scene. Drago never really got hit. No one thought he could bleed, And there's that line when he cuts him, and his coach is like, "You see, Rocky, he ain't a machine.
That's
he
right.
bleeds. He's a man."
Paulie.
Like,
That was Paulie.
I really believe. I believe that when we get out there and maybe it's a quick dagger, like a deep post route to Jameson, and all of a sudden Georgia's got a bloody nose and they're not really sure. Like maybe they get a little rattled. So I just got to have faith that we can get them on the ropes a little bit.
Yeah. Look, I think this.
Anyway,
Jay, great call, man. Thank you. And look,
love what you guys do. Roll Tide and keep it up.
Hey, roll Tide, man. And the good news for you is that being in Florida is not going to be like being in Atlanta, because Florida just lost to Missouri. And I'm guessing that Dan Mullen's going to end up getting fired maybe today. I don't know. I mean, they want him out of there. Be careful what you wish for, Gator fans. He's a good coach. All right, let's go right back to the phone lines again. And who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick. This is Jarek from Buffalo.
Jarek, what's up, dude?
Nothing much, man. I agree with the last caller that I do have some hope that we can beat the Georgia Bulldogs. I think the thing about it, I think the thing that question for me is that, if we beat Georgia, we're most likely going to have to play them a second time. We're most likely going to have to play them a second time. We most likely have to play Ohio State. So it definitely is something, kind of scary to think about a little bit there. But I do have some hope that we can beat Georgia there. just the one thing, man. But one thing I just wanted to kind of talk about was just the inconsistent play that Alabama has, man. It's kind of like, you know, you don't want to. I'm kind of tired of just talking about kind of the same things over and over again, but you just can't really help yourself. Again, we struggled with just. It just seemed like from a mental standpoint, we weren't there. And Nick Saban talked about it during his press conference on Thursday, where, you know, he pretty much talked about how, you know, we got a bunch of poor meetings for the entire week for the practice session, and that our players were just not mentally there. We weren't really, you know, we have not had that good week of practice. And you can tell that it kind of translates into the football field. You know, what you do in practice, it's going to translate. It's going to translate no matter what you do, no matter what area that you're in. It doesn't have to be football. It can be anything. It's going to translate to the final product if you're not practicing enough. So it's just, you know, again, Latu fumbling the ball, fumbling inside of the one, Mechie having around 4 drops, offensive line, maybe the right side struggling. You know, Bryce Young taking the 25-yard, you know, sack when he should have just thrown the ball out, but he was trying to create a play. Josh Jobe, again, leaving him on an island and struggling once again against physical wide receivers. And then our safeties that were there over the top were over pursuing the play, which again gave up 2 busted coverages. It's kind of the same stuff, man. You know, Henry T celebrating, you know, again, made a great play on the ball on I think it was either 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. And what does Henry T do? He celebrates when the play is going on and they get the 4th down conversion. You know, it's stuff like that from a mental standpoint that we need to be better than. And you know, it's just at some point we're just running out of room to saying that this is going to be the game that they're going to do it. You know, this is going to be the game where they're going to get focused. This is going to be the game that we're going to get the old Alabama football team. And you're just kind of tired of talking about it. And you're just hoping that you can see it. You're hoping that this team can just have the mental fortitude on and off the field, that these guys can make each other accountable. And again, you know, I think 2 or 3 callers back, you know, one of them talked about how we had 9 players in the defense. Not scratch that. We had 11 players from that defense that are playing right now. They're on that national championship football team.
Right.
So you're just waiting for leadership. You're waiting for accountability, and you know, you're just waiting for just that spark that can happen. Because you know, I don't think it's not a personnel issue. It's not a personnel issue, right? It's a mental aspect of the game. It's something that we're lacking there. And I don't know if these players are just getting too cocky. I don't know if it's maybe the coaches that are just not getting on to them. But, you know, at some point we got to stop blaming. We got to stop putting all the blame on these coaches. We need to start having these players accountable for what they're doing on the field.
Right. Well, Jarek, I mean, maybe they're not as good as we want them to be. I mean, they're 10-1 good, but maybe they're not as good as we want them to be.
It's like I don't want to fall for it, but at the same time, it's like, you know how many weeks are we just gonna have the hope, and we're just not really seeing it. It's just, you know, when DeMarco Hellum is on his game, when DeMarco Hellum gets the play right, he is one of the best safeties if he can get it right. Daniel Wright can, you know, he's one of the best ball hawks when he's mentally there. When everything is going right for Alabama on the defense side of the ball, they're the best team in the nation. The problem is it's developing that type of rhythm. It's developing that type of consistency. And you know what? Maybe you're right. You know, maybe that this is just not the year for us to do it. Maybe it's gonna have to be another year where we're really gonna have to push competition. You know, maybe these players just felt safe that the competition really wasn't there. You know, if you go back to the previous Alabama team, and if you talk to former players, they will all tell you that they had to compete every single day in practice because there was literally a 5-star waiting right behind you to take your job.
Mm-hmm.
David and that coaching staff wasn't playing around. If you didn't perform, if you didn't show up, it doesn't matter if you were a Heisman Trophy contender. You were going to get benched.
Yep.
So maybe that kind of has to do with the big issue. Maybe we just have to maybe after this year, these players can kind of realize that, hey, you know, being at Alabama, you're not going to just win every game. You're not going to be competing for championships just by being here. You're going to have to compete. You're going to have to compete. And I don't know. It's just one of those times where, again, you don't want to talk about the same thing over and over again. But, you know, here we are.
Yep. I mean, I can't complain too much about a 10-1 season and a trip to Atlanta. You know, I mean, we'll be talking after that Georgia game, and, you know, we'll see what happens. But you got to get there. sometimes these teams, they go through, they have all these issues. You see Georgia. Look, if Georgia wasn't killing everyone, we'd look at it and go, okay, you know what? Bama's got problems, but they can win. It's wide open, right? I mean, we're just assuming that Georgia is just going to beat everyone. Ohio State's gotten better, but you know what? Michigan's pretty good too. One of those two teams is going to be out. Probably Michigan. I mean, if history repeats itself, which they always lose to them, but they might not. They might not. Who knows what's going to happen? But Alabama's got the Iron Bowl, and you try to win that one. That one's really important. And then you go to Atlanta and you try to win that one. And the best part about it is that this team is in position to play for something. I mean, for championships. And they've only lost one game, but it's just not easy, man. None of this is easy this year.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, Mick, is that, Ohio State's defense was struggling all season long, right? Tons of 5-star talent, tons of 5- and 4-star talent. A lot of youth, though, like really a lot of, like we talk about our team being young. Look at Ohio State's roster, and they had 22 freshmen that played this year. There, 12 of those got the starters, so that's a very youthful team. But it only took one game for that team to click. It was this game. It was the Ohio State-Michigan State game where the defense finally came together and they put on their best performance, and it ended up being a 56-7 win. So it's possible that it's very possible. It's a 50. I gave it like a 50% chance, most likely happening, that Alabama could click. Right? That it could happen next week against Auburn. Right? Auburn. TJ Finley's doing a good job so far. I'm watching the Auburn-South Carolina game. But again, it takes one game. It takes 1 week of practice. It takes one game for the entire momentum of the season, right? You look at the Georgia game in the second half. Bama defense that was struggling all year until they played Georgia. They struggled in the first half, and then the second half came and boom.
Right.
Ever since then, they just took off.
Yep.
So it could still happen, right? But the likelihood of that is still possible. It only takes one game, one play realistic. It only takes one play for your season to just change like that from both a positive and a negative standpoint. But at this point, just keep winning. And it's just like, we can't really kind of complain about the same things. At some point, we just got to sit up here and say to ourselves, fans, just keep winning. Keep winning. Just keep winning, because you never know what could happen.
That's right. Well, Jarek, always great to hear from you, man. Roll Tide, and don't forget tomorrow night, 6:00. We'll do it again, all right? We'd love to have you back on.
Absolutely, Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide. Jarek from Buffalo, great caller. All right, guys, we're winding this down. Let's do another call here and get right into it. Talk about today's game. Alabama, a winner. It wasn't easy. Who's this and where you calling from?
What's up, guys? This is Sean from Huntsville.
Hey, what's up, Sean?
What's up, Mick? How you guys doing, man, on this great night?
You know what? We're doing well. It's not as cold up on the roof as it was last time I was up here. So that makes me happy. Even though I got my jacket on.
Yeah, I see you guys getting in a little bit. I see you. You guys be safe tonight. Let me start off with my positives. I want to give big respect to Phil Mathis, Dallas Turner, and Will Anderson. Those are my three players of the game. Those guys played well. Phil played so well, they started combo blocking Phil and double teaming him. Phil played a great game. So did Dallas. Dallas Turner's coming on, man. I'm telling you guys, that kid is coming on. Will Anderson was Will Anderson tonight, as always. But let me get to my negatives, man. Our middle linebackers, man. Let me explain to you. And I made sure I watched these guys. I DVR'd it so I could rewind and go back and rewind. Let me tell you something I noticed for really the first time tonight. I know these guys been struggling all year, on and off. But what I noticed about Henry Toto and Christian Harris is this. When we play teams that's physical, meaning teams that attack the gaps, teams that run downhill, not teams that's going to fool you and trick you to death and counter you to death, but I'm talking about teams that'll come off tackle, come off guard, with a blocking back, with a tight end, with an H-back. Let me tell you what I noticed those guys started doing. Instead of attacking the offensive lineman, the first lineman through the gap is supposed to attack him, blow him up, as we call it. They run around the block. They try to run around the block. They try to avoid the contact. That's not good, and both of those guys do that. I saw 3 times where Henry Toto was in great position to make the tackle, tried to run around the block, and took himself completely out of the play. and they pop one on us. They squirt one through and pop one for 18, 19 yards on us. That's not good, man. We got to attack with leverage, man. We got to attack in the middle linebacker spot. They still doing that even at this stage of the season. I saw Josh Joe play the wrong leverage. He outside. You're supposed to play the shade on the outside shoulder of the receiver's shoulder toward the sideline. He did that, but he attacked the wrong shoulder. Dude threw him out the way like a rag doll and ran right by him. Job has got to be more strong than that, man. One thing I did see, he had his hands on his hips, shaking his head. That means his confidence is waning, guys. He knows he's not playing well. He knows it. You can look at him and tell he's not playing well. The defensive was still getting late calls in. If you look at the defense, the guys are still looking to the sideline while they're snapping the ball. We still very late getting the calls in. That happened on several plays. And our safety play. The safety play is just not there, guys. It's not there. I don't know if Jordan Battle over-pursues so much. He over-pursues. Number 2, DeMarco Hellams. He's great, in tackling. He's great in the box. But he struggles in pass coverage, man, bad. He struggles in pass coverage extremely bad. I'm worried about that with tight ends and things of that nature. And as far as Ohio State, I'm not impressed with Ohio State as everybody else is, man. I watched those guys all season. They had a great game today. But anybody that knows football know that was a bad matchup anyway for Michigan State. Michigan State secondary is the worst in the Big Ten. That was a horrible, horrible matchup for Ohio State, for Michigan State. So that game got out of hand early. I'm not as impressed with everybody. They did well. I give them their respect, you know what I mean? But I'm not as impressed with those guys as I am Georgia and things of that nature. But all in all, I'll leave with this. Man, I'm not going to get on my "we got to fix it" spiel. It's too late for that. Right. We are where we are.
We are who
we are. We are, man. We got to ride with it. This is what I'll say to all the fans out there that's worrying about Georgia. I will address this. Georgia's a great team. I said it last week. I take nothing from them. Those guys have dominated everybody they played like they're supposed to. But I can guarantee you this. If you don't believe nothing I've ever told you, believe what I'm telling you tonight. Kirby Smart will tell his team on that week, this Bama team will stretch you vertically like no team you faced all season. Mm-hmm. No team. If you give Bryce a half a second too long, he got a very, very quick release. We will beat Georgia. Their secondary ain't what it is. Their secondary is not what it is. Their front seven makes that team go. Right. That's the problem right there. Their front seven is the monsters. That's what makes that team go. And we will attack them vertically like no team they have played all season. We're going to get through the Iron Bowl. We're going to go down to Auburn, destroy them. Let's go. We coming for what's ours, period. I ain't going to be negative. We coming for what's ours. We threw for 600 yards on this team and only beat them by 7 points. So that's where we are. Everybody out there except where we are. We just got to outscore everybody, and we're going to do it. So celebrate now with your Bulldogs and your Tigers because we coming. I ain't going to be negative tonight. We coming for what's ours, period. That's what it is. Roll Tide to everybody in the chat. You guys do a great job, Mick, Trey. I'll get back with you guys and continue to support.
Hey, great call. I think that they're telling me that that's the last call we're going to take tonight, guys. I appreciate it. Great call to end on as far as the calls go. And we appreciate all you guys for being a part of our show. We're here, Westgate Luxury Condominiums, for the last time, but this is where we've been for the home games. So one more time before we get out of here, let me pop this up for you guys so you can look at this. And then I'm going to give you my final thoughts tonight. But right now, look at this. Let me just talk about Westgate Luxury Condominiums. A mere 200 feet from Bryant-Denny Stadium, where the Crimson Tide of Alabama took care of the Arkansas Hogs tonight, the Razorbacks, 42-35. It happened 200 feet from here, and we're sitting on the roof at the Skygate Club. That's where we're at right now. But anyway, guys, for real, spacious balconies. They're oversized balconies. You got the location that's incredible right near the Strip, the Quad, Denny Chimes, campus, downtown, all that stuff right here. 1 to 5 bedroom units that are available from 900 to 3,000 square feet. And the units are available, westgateal.com for more information, westgateal.com. And I got to just, again, as we roll out of here, thank Jillian and her entire crew for extending that hospitality to us as we talk to you each and every week. Now, we're going to be back next week, but we'll be back from, we'll be on after the game. So don't forget that when Alabama and Auburn are wrapping up, to come back here to Bama Insider in the YouTube channel. And that's where we'll, break it down, take your calls, listen to Nick Saban, and, and kind of see what happens in this Iron Bowl. We're talking a lot of Georgia, but we're not talking a lot of Auburn, and we should be talking a lot of Auburn. This is a huge game coming up on Saturday down in Lee County. And for Alabama, they're going to have to go in there and have another great effort to win this game. There were a lot of positives today. I don't think Auburn's offense is going to be able to take advantage of the Bama defense like Arkansas did. KJ Jefferson is a good quarterback. He's a big guy. He's tough to bring down. Sam Pittman made this game a priority, one of their staples. They were going to try to beat Alabama, and they came in and they were really competitive. But Alabama was better today. Bryce Young is having the best sophomore season I've ever seen an Alabama quarterback have. And he's going to be one of the odds-on favorites to win the Heisman Trophy because another huge week of over 600 yards total offense. He ran the ball today. He had 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. This guy's been amazing. The offensive line, I think, got a little bit better today, and that's good news. And the Alabama pass rush was there. So there were some positives. Obviously, there's some negatives, too. They could never put Arkansas away. But honestly, I never felt – it's a lot like the Tennessee game, a lot like the Florida game, a lot like LSU. Even though Alabama played a close game, I always thought they were going to win. I just had that feeling that they were going to win. I never really felt like I did against Texas A&M where they just couldn't quite get over the hump. I felt like they were there. All right, look, coming up tomorrow at 6 o'clock, we will have our Sunday night call-in show. So if you didn't get on tonight or you want to call back in tomorrow, a little bit of a long-form conversation tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Monday, we've got the Nick Saban press conference, the Iron Bowl press conference. We'll have all the pressers on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. And then Monday night quarterback. Tuesday, we'll do our college football playoff ranking show with Kyle Henderson, Trey Yanity, and Andrew Bone on Tuesday. We'll update you on recruiting. Wednesday, we'll have the score prediction contest. I call it contest, but show where you guys call in and say what you think the score is going to be. And then on Friday, we'll do the Bama Insider Tailgate Show with a bunch of stuff sprinkled in there. But, man, much love to all you guys. Great fans, and another awesome night here on the show. So special thanks to Kyle Henderson, Chris Daltrey, Trey Yanity, who's still at it over here on Mick Gillispie. Thanks, guys. Again, the final score, Bama with a 7-point win, 42-35 over Arkansas. They're 10-1. 10-1 and heading into the Iron Bowl next week. So we got a lot to be happy with. Roll Tide.